happening, boys? You alright?
Don't know. I think it's the right answer to that one.
Ando's just silent treatment. I feel that might be yeah.
I've got nothing to say.
Nothing to say.
No, I've got nothing to say. I don't even know why I'm here.
He's put it all on the BBC website.
Shut up.
Well.
Shut up.
Well. Aye, well, welcome back to This Is My Story. Big week for the club, obviously. We thought we'd come on and give a bit of reaction to the news. So, obviously, the big news this week. Kenny Vargas scored a goal. Well composed finish. Thought we'd give a reaction to that then. But well, he couldn't do Aberdeen. He does in Costa Rica national team.
Could also say that Craig Gordon kept a clean sheet. But anyway.
He actually played very well as well. But welcome to Tam's International Podcast. As everyone turns off.
I'll pose the question again. I don't know why I'm here, if this is what we're talking about.
Nah, obviously we are reacting to the big news that Hearts have a new manager. Neil Critchley was announced on Monday morning, was it? I can't even remember. What day are we on now? Wednesday. Been a couple of days to let the dust settle.
Tuesday morning, I think. It's
Tuesday,
was it? Yeah, Tuesday morning.
Well, there's been a lot of tears and snutters and all sorts of opinions since then. It feels like a lot longer than that, to be honest. So, a lot has changed in a week since we last podcast. And just while we're on that as well, just a wee note, we did podcast last week. If you usually listen to us on Apple or Spotify, we bit an issue with the audio, but it is available on YouTube if you still want, but bit redundant now, as me and Ando agreed. So we'll get this one on audio side, and if you want to go back, it's on YouTube while we're there. But aye. Kev, how are we?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Stopped crying in the corner after yesterday's news. I maybe have slightly more reflection in regards to what was announced, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. Later being in about 2 seconds, but depending how I don't even want to ask Ando how he is. Actually, it might take longer than 2 seconds. Ando, how are we?
Oh, I'm shitting myself with woe, but yeah, that's the short version of it. But yeah, I'm all good, mate. I'm all good.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as we just discussed, we'll take it back a wee bit further to first go over, but news coming out of Tynecastle, the rumour train was going wild Thursday into Friday last week. 2 people shortlisted at the end of the day, and it was between a Norwegian Hogmo that no one had heard about and an Englishman, Neil Critchley, none of us had heard about, as we all Googled and decided to make our thoughts on it. So, obviously looked like Hearts had made their choice. Offers were made to Hogmo, apparently, although McKinley yesterday did refute that, but we'll get on to that as well. But yeah, well, I suppose it's worthwhile touching on what happened with Hogmo. How do we feel that was handled? Were we more excited with a Norwegian 65-year-old coming in? How did we feel on Friday?
Kev?
I think a number of aspects. When I first heard the name, I was like, who the hell is he? However, when, as you're rightly saying, myself as well as a number of probably others had started to jump onto the old Tinternet and identify, what was his background, where's he managed, and the caliber of the actual the gent himself was quite up there with regards to what we could probably expect as a Hearts manager. We've got to understand our structure in regards to the way in which the club operate, our salary structure, all these kind of things would have to, of course, come into contention when you look at any manager. But from what he was offering and where he had been, he was definitely somebody that then brought a bit of interest in regards to the actual role. And I think everybody probably had that, who the hell is he? But once we did do a bit of investigation, actually, this could be a great opportunity and a good appointment. That was my overall thoughts at that stage on Friday afternoon.
I was similar. I think there's always a bit of intrigue when it's someone foreign. You don't really know. See, they've won leagues, they've managed international. But obviously, when it said that chat was broken down, was what did we think was going to happen, Ando? Did you think it was going to fall back on Critchley? Did you think we were going to start the process again? What did you...
genuinely had no idea. I think my thoughts on the Hogmo and or however it is you say it, were, I suppose, indifference. Was it? Okay, fine, that's the guy. Sound. Is it an inspirational appointment? Is it earth-shattering? Is it groundbreaking? Is it any of these big fancy things? No, it's definitely not. And then obviously he's out the frame, and then someone else comes into the frame. I can only really describe my thoughts towards the whole thing as in shades of grey. It's just not entertaining, not exciting. None of it was what I would consider a marquee signing, if that makes sense. Now I know that's going to sound very old firmish, and like we getting ideas above our station or whatever. But yeah, my position going into the weekend was just a case of, they're the two names. Meh.
Get you to an extent. Go for it.
Yeah,
Kev.
I mean that's interesting. Who we was because a lot of people were after McInnes. Other names as well were touted. Who would have been in your eyes? Who would have been a marquee signing? Would that have been a? All right, okay. I just wondered if you had in the back of your head that's the kind of guy I'd be interested in.
No,
from
really.
a marquee point of view.
It's well, as we know, it's not my job to put names in the frame. It is, however, my job to react to the names that are put before me, and as a creature reacting to stimulus, there was no fucking stimulation, if I'm being honest, by the two names that were presented before me. Like, all right, whatever, sound. I could neither get excited or upset because I knew absolutely nothing about them. Obviously, the group chat that we've got, the community chat that we've got on the go, and again you'll find the links for that and socials in the show notes for this, because we're professional these days. Join the chat if you wish to. There's quite a lot of people in that chat do all the hard work for you. They go and get all the stats and everything like that, and it's presented before you, and you get to, as long as you can weed through all the dodgy comments, then you get to, I suppose, form your snapshot opinion. But my snapshot opinion, again, as I've just said, was one of almost utter indifference, which was...
Yeah, to be honest with you, though, I agree with what Kev said. The market we're kind of shopping in, I didn't expect us to go with a name we knew in terms of the Scottish market, and I couldn't see us going outside the box and getting someone that had been a roaring success anywhere else. So it's hard in terms of, we're always going to have a manager that's got a bit of failure on their CV.
Yeah, if you pay peanuts, improve. You get
exactly. Exactly that, and that
totally
comes down to
that.
So, it was an interesting old weekend when we got linked with.
Sorry, Tam, just to go back. Are we saying what you said there about like the Scottish contingent? It's like and I probably should have answered this rather than be a dick about it. But if I'm honest, I did expect some sort of almost internal Scottish appointment. I expected us to go down the almost the tried and tested route, dare I say it, because he's not here, the Derek McInnes route. That's what I expected. But then if you balance that with the fact of Bloom and analytics and the lack of announcement and clarity on that whole situation, it just leads you to believe they're going to play it safe. It's either going to be an experiment or it's going to be some dyed-in-the-wool sort of hard and fast Scottish boy. And it turned out to be neither of those. So,
I agree. I think had it been no Tony Bloom and no Jamestown Analytics, I think we would have been looking at a Robinson, a McGlynn, a McInnes, someone like off that ilk. And I think you're probably right there. But I think there is a lot of this process that nobody knows about. But there has to be that layer of, I don't know if trust is the word, or probably is trust the process.
Let's pretend for a second then, right? So you're speaking to me as a brand new person that you've never spoken to before. Talk to me about Hearts and Tony Bloom and what the relationship is there. Can you describe it in 4 or 5 sentences? No, you can't, because there's not a single thing has really been said about it, barring the references that have been made by what's his name, McKinley, in his press conferences, where all he's said is, I think, and I'm not quoting him exactly here, but he's basically said that, there's conversations ongoing, but that's as much as I can say. There's never been any formal announcement. There's nothing actually concrete that links us and him just now.
I would say that's probably went a step further in the last day or two. Okay. McKinley's press conference, certainly yesterday, when he confirmed they were using an analytics model, not naming names, but they were using an analytics model for the recruitment process. Obviously, there was the human element where you're still going through your traditional interview process, meeting with different people, but every candidate was ran through this analytics and some suggestions were made to them, is what he said. And actually, and you could take what McKinley says with a pinch of salt, but he did say that Neil Critchley came top of that analytics algorithm.
But he's always going to say that.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm saying take it with a pinch of salt.
Yeah, he's never going to turn around and say that Neil Critchley came 8th out of 8. Exactly.
Tam is actually ahead of Neil Critchley in our analytics list because he's good at chat, man.
I know. I'm class at it, mate, to be honest. And to be honest, he also, again, take with a pinch of salt, because I can't imagine half of the media, half of the fans that kind of know a bit of knowledge of Hearts were wrong when they said that there was no other person offered a job, and that Critchley was the first option. But obviously, on Tuesday morning, Neil Critchley was hired. So,
well, it goes back to the press are always going to chuck names and chuck as many names as they possibly can and hope that one of them sticks.
Yeah.
And I think where there was the boy Page that was the Wales manager, there was the boy Rowett, who I'd reached out to a mate who seen his team at Millwall, said he was good for 6 months, then shite for 6 months, and then all right for 3 months, but then shite for another 6 months. Proper roller coaster kind of manager.
He just suited Hearts quite well, to be honest, Kev.
Aye, true enough. I think there was always going to be that, and I think that for the interview from McKinley he can only go down one particular path, and that path is always going to be that this was the guy we wanted. You're never ever see an interview, and I think this is where McKinley's got to something maybe actually go, let's keep it all in house. Let's not chuck names about. And Savage was very good at that. You think about some of the signings that we made, we as fans never knew anything about them. And it wasn't we didn't know it was happening. We didn't even hear rumours. Yes, that frustrated us during closed seasons, because that's the kind of thing that keeps you going. But all of a sudden, Savage is out of the way, and all of a sudden there's a number of different leaks coming from the club. It says to me that there's somebody not too happy within the club at this moment in time. And that's why I think there's also that side of the rumour in regards board sort of, not upheaval, but there's definitely fracas in the boardroom around what decisions are actually being made. But McKinley could only do one thing, and that was come out and say that Critchley is the man that we went after. He was top of the actual algorithm and analytics and everything else. He's all bells, all whistles, and he is the man to take us forward. That's an automatic reaction.
And one thing I don't know if you've seen the press conference. I actually thought it was good. Both McKinley and Critchley talked very well.
Happy clapper, Tom.
I am to an extent, but I wouldn't say I'm clapping from the rooftops on this particular week. But
okay.
But one thing that they did touch on was part of the analytics they spoke about was a large part of that was development of players, and obviously Critchley's history in terms of he's been at coach under Klopp, Liverpool youth, then he's went to Blackpool, and by all accounts from what I'm hearing the first time around, he's improved a bang average League One side into getting promoted and then staying up, and then go to Aston Villa and then working with again world class players like he did at Liverpool and developing them, but obviously not to the same extent. So from that aspect, I suppose you do have to trust the analytics in terms of will he develop our specific players and will he do it that way?
This is a very existential thing, though, isn't it? It's like, right, I know that every club in Scotland, including Rangers and Celtic, are selling clubs, right? It's just the way they are because of the sort of behemoths that you have in the continent, right? In terms of European leagues like Germany, Italy, France, Spain, England. We're not in a position to compete with that sort of thing. So yes, we are a selling club. Everyone realizes that, makes their peace with it. However, I don't really give a fuck if he develops our players, because if it's for the it depends what the end result is. If he's developing our players to make them better so that he can win football matches, fine, right? But the argument is to say that we should be buying better players in the first place. You shouldn't really have to develop them that much. But I get it. We are a selling club. That's the model. So we need to buy players on the cheap, find the sort of the diamonds in the rough, if you like, polish them up, sell them on for a profit. I get that. That
surely those two things go hand in hand, though, no? In terms of winning games and developing players.
They do. However, you need a team. You need a team to do that. That's not all incumbent on the manager. That's incumbent on the coaching team overall to do that. What I want the manager to do is to put a fucking winning team in the park and actually start doing what we should be doing, which is challenging for second place or first, or whatever. Right? That's the kind of thing we should be aiming for, not getting a better balance sheet by developing players and selling them on. Yes, I appreciate the two of them go hand in hand. But the first thing that should be coming out of his gob, right? And again, apologies if I'm going off the rails on this one, but I don't care if you develop players. Develop players after you've done something. The thing that should be number one on the jobs board should be number one on the priority list should be, I want to get this team back to winning ways. I want to get us up the league. I want us to get us into Europe next season, and I want us to win a cup. Right? If I can develop players and sell them on for a higher price, that's fine. That's objective number two. It's just the priorities don't seem to be aligned for me. And again, I might be way off the mark and just being overly reactive here, but that's where I come down on it.
I think he did try and get that across. Yeah, I think he did try and get that across, that that is the fundamental. You can't improve or bring players on from an under 18, under whatever way you want to look at it, 16s, whatever. You can't bring them on without actually producing on the park, and I think that's where Tam's going with it. I think he tried to get across the fact that actually what we've got at this moment in time is what appears to be an underperforming squad of players, and his aim was that by maybe just making one or two little tweaks, we could actually produce a winning team that over the next 3 months, let's say, wins their fair shares of games. And what I also want to be doing is looking at how I improve what is already here, so that yes, we can start to actually sell players on, as you rightly say, Ando. We are a selling club, but we're selling them on at profit. We're not just taking what the first team, first person offers, and that's what happened with regards to Cochrane.
Exactly.
Corbett's gone on about it enough times, but that part of the business, that part of the club, is dealt with in the boardroom. That's dealt with by a sporting director and everybody else. And I think we spoke about it enough times, there's an element of softness within the club at this moment. And that needs to be moved on, that needs to be moved on. And to an extent that you actually have, and I hate to use sort of hand gestures after our earlier conversation, Andrew. But you need to effectively have two different companies running. You have a football team and you have a business. And the two of them do have to align at certain points. There's no getting away from it. What makes you, me, and everybody that listens to this podcast actually go on a Saturday or buy a season ticket is a product in the park. Corbett's mentioned it enough times. It's not the fact that we've got a hotel or a number one rated Blueberry restaurant in the place. That makes you money when the football team is not playing. But what actually brings in the money, or what brings in people like you and I, is a product on the park. If the product's shite on the park, you're not going to turn up on a Saturday, Wednesday, Thursday nights, whatever it may be. You're just not going to do it. So you've got to get the right balance in regards to that. And I think that's what he really wants to do. I think he maybe didn't probably put it across correctly in that manner. But you're bang on
If I'm
right.
honest, I never seen any of his pressers.
I listened to about
because
3.5 minutes and I went, I can't take any more of this guy's voice.
What?
For me, it wasn't. It
Sorry.
wasn't him. It was the whoopee cushion that introduced him. Sorry, Andrew McKinley. That introduced him. You might want to cut that bit, Tam. So write that down. But yeah, I've not bothered listening to any of it. It's all just nonsense. It's going
What
to
I
be
would
the same
say,
recycled pattern.
Sorry, what I would say about the press conference part, it was weird comparison. There was a line in it where he was saying he wants to play free flowing attacking football, playing on the front foot, and I was like, it's all well saying that, but did Naismith a year prior not say the exact same thing? And then what did we see? It was not that by the end of it. So as you say, it's ultimately, you can say as much as you want, but it's putting across the team. And
it's like I want to walk and act like Brad Pitt. It's not gonna happen, though, is it? You know what I mean? It's like, it's all just words. It's all just rhetoric. It's the same recycled crap that every single new manager. Like if you look at any new manager that's been appointed in any job in the last 2 to 3 months, there's the certain key phrases and I suppose rhetoric that comes out of every single one of them. It's a copy and paste job from any other manager's speech. It's all just words until you actually see it.
Yeah. With that though, there's clearly a good coach in there. You know,
I think so.
You don't work with Jurgen Klopp. You don't work at Premier League clubs, get promotions without being a good coach. What my worry is, he might be. Ian Caffrey was a good coach, and is historically a good coach.
There you go.
It just, my worry is the man management part, and how does he get that across? So he's had 2 jobs in a row where he's failed. Is that down to him being a bad coach? Probably not, but he's got the rest of the impact on there.
See, this is where I've got my opinion means absolute jack all, but this is where I have a bit of an issue. What were you actually recruiting for? Were you recruiting for a head coach or were you recruiting for a manager?
100% a head coach.
So you've got in a head coach, but you also then have to have somebody who, as you rightly say, can manage the individuals that are in the team. Does that fall on the boy Jones? Now, he's not going to start his job until I think the end of next month after all the home nation shit is dealt with. So, you know, you're still a number of ways. And I know that he came out as well and he said he was involved in the whole process and everything else. But you need to have that. And that's where I think, and I don't know if it ever came up in the community chat because I know there was 80% I missed. I know that's maybe where McInnes wouldn't have worked with the club because he wants to be a manager. He wants to run everything. And I don't think the way in which we are organised allows for that to actually happen. So, you know, from a man management point of view, you need to then have somebody else. And that could then cause, of course, further, you know, fracas down the line in regards to the fact that Critchley doesn't get on with whoever that particular individual is.
From what I read online, Kev, his obviously successful spell at Blackpool. Forgive me, I don't remember the name, but he then went on to be Neil Lennon's assistant in Cyprus or Romania or whatever as well. But he was very much the...
Critchley or something like that, his name is?
I think you're right there. I think you're right there, Kev. I think he was very much the hardline sort of man motivator type thing, whereas Critchley was a coach. Obviously, he's not came in with him yet. I don't know if that's to come. He's came in with... I forgot the assistant's name already.
Good, well done.
Any hints? He's brought someone in.
No idea.
Garrity.
That's the one.
Something like that.
Garrity, yep. Who was with him previously at QPR and at Blackpool. So I don't know if that's his role to play in the thing, but it's one of those things. When he's been there, it's not been a success as such. So it's hard to align.
Ian Brunkskill is the guy's name that went to Stour, and he was out there, but he is the one that's worked alongside Critchley in a lot of the successful period or successful times. So it'll be interesting to see what he does. I think there's also an interest in regards to, does he keep any of the existing, what's cast them as they are, the B squad? Because I think there's an element of that as well. That might have also what people were saying, that's what impacted on the Hogmo deal at the weekend, was that one of either be Fox, or whether it be Beath, or whether it be Wallace, or whatever, it was to be involved in the first team sort of coaching setup, and he probably didn't want to do that because he wanted his own team in there, which is understandable, and for the club to actually have that as a caveat to getting the position, I think is wrong. But we don't know what the truth is. We don't know what the elements of any deal, had it actually been discussed, looked like from that point of view. Because I think the boy Hogmo's looked like he's going to take over at Djurgårdens in Sweden. Is that right?
Yeah, I feel like he might have just got a better offer at the last minute, personally. But then everything else comes out a bit different stuff. But
here's a question: who would you rather have had? Like, if we just gun to your head, who would you rather have?
Of the names that were going about, or just those two?
Between Hog Roast and Critchley.
I love a hog roast, so let's just leave it at that.
Garvey special.
Correct.
At the time, on Friday, I was very much off the Hogmo mindset. But if he's pulling out a job like that doesn't provide me any sort of confidence in him. And once that happened, I didn't want us to go back and try and turn him around or anything like that. I want somebody who'd be committed and wanting to take the role. So it's hard to say. I've firmly sat on the fence there, Ando. So
okay, that's fine.
I'll take the splinters at Mars later, but
no, it's fine. It's an answer. It's an answer. Yeah. Fine.
Anyway, I don't even know where we got to.
Well, slowly talk about the actual. I think if you Ando just asked there just now in regards to who would you preferred. I think it's an interesting one is to ask, where are you now? From that point of view, are you on board, or are you believing, like a lot of people are saying, that he's probably got 4 to 5 minutes, i.e. to roughly about 6 minutes past 3 on Saturday afternoon, to win over a percentage of the fan base? Or do you think that actually the majority of the fan base are starting to come around to the whole, you said it earlier on, Tam, trust element, so trust the process? Are you in that particular camp of, let's trust the process, give them how long? That's another interesting question. How long do you actually give them? Do we have to give them two transfer windows?
Absolutely.
Given the fact that the whole, if the Bloom thing is going to go through and the money and everything else that goes with it, do we give them 2? Do we give them 3? Do we actually not even get to the next window? That's the question. I think it's going to be interesting.
It's a good question, Kev, to be honest. I think I am on the trust the process side of things for me now. I wouldn't say I'm fully on board, but I feel like Critchley does need the backing at this point as well. I think there has been a lot of the negativity online and on certain on Twitter. I've hearing what other people have been saying within our community chat, and there's been a lot of negativity. But at the same time, where's the use in that? The decision's been made. It's not it's going to change within a week or two. He's got a big 3 games. We've not even seen his Critchley team kick a ball yet. Let's see how it goes for me. And I think there has been a lot of that sort of negativity, and I understand it's not people were expecting someone a bit different, and it doesn't really seem like that. But what are you going to do now? And that's maybe me trying to be positive, but I don't see the point in not getting behind them at this point.
Well, I've just been checking here because I think I am now also on that kind of process, is that the process needs to be trusted. And the reason I'm saying that, I don't see us, and this is going with the analytics element, I do not see us in the same boat as a Brighton, but I do see us very similar to Union St. Galois or whatever their name is, the Belgian team. Now, their fans, when this all came about with Tony Bloom, I think they probably were similar to us and expected I'm not saying a household name or a marquee managerial signing, but what Tony Bloom done with his algorithm is brought in the guy who failed at Genk. Genk are a fairly big. He failed there. He came in, and his win rate was like 69.5% or something like that over the 2.5 years he was there before he was very quickly not moved on, but he was quickly taken on by Anderlecht. And he done really well with Anderlecht. He got them into Champions League football. So, going the fact that everybody's looked at Critchley's sort of last performance at Blackpool, his performance at QPR, sometimes it just doesn't work at certain clubs. It's just the way it is. It might turn out that it doesn't work at Hearts neither for him. And if that's the case, then that's his career over. But there's also those situations where it does work. And I think you've just got to be in that side where you trust the actual process, but you have to make sure that you have an identity. And we spoke about this the last few weeks. You have an identity. What is your setup going to be? Because your setup is going to then determine what your recruitment looks like in 2 months' time. Or in fact, actually, what your recruitment looks like next month or next week, because that's when you have to actually start that process.
There's a lot more failed managers in the world than there is successes, and we wouldn't be getting a success. And I agree with you, Kev. It's one of those things you hope that the last two failures, if we put it, which probably he would probably describe as that as well, although he didn't describe the last Blackpool appointment as that. You hope that he's learned from them, and maybe will be a bit more like his first spell, and then learned on that. And what are you, from Kev's question, where are you sitting on that scale?
Well, absolutely furious.
Triggered them.
Yeah. Well, I'm like, I just go back to. I don't know what the answer is, right? So, like, you asked me before, like, who would I have brought in? I think it was Kev. You asked that. I don't know. Like, I don't know who I would have brought in.
Can I rephrase that question, Ando? Just to
go.
What would you have wanted in terms of manager? Like, what attributes? What sort of past experience? What would you be looking for? So not
Someone
a specific name, but
someone with a demonstrable track record in actually getting stuff done. Like, this guy's what's he done? What has he done? Realistically,
promoted to Championship, stayed up in the Championship. I suppose that's his biggest things. Developed your Trent Alexander-Arnold's off Liverpool type players.
Was that all him? Was it?
Not necessarily, but heavily involved in that. I'm just
okay,
yeah.
right, fine.
I'm happy to have this. I'm happy to play one side and you play the other.
Yeah. That's the whole point of this.
Yep.
That's the whole point of this. Is that I am is again it's difficult just to go back and say anything other than what I said at the very start of this, which is it's just shades of grey. It's there's nothing there. I mean, again, okay, right, fine. Devil's advocate again. We've not seen this guy's team kick a ball yet, and bear in mind it isn't this guy's team. Right, there's a lot of crap in that squad just now that needs to go. Can I get a tune out of them? No one really knows. Where I come down on the whole thing, I think this is it's just speaking bluntly, it's a cheap appointment. It's a very, very cheap appointment. It is another appointment in the long list of appointments that have sort of plagued us for however many years it is. Sorry, I need to do that whole refocus thing on the camera. It's been a bit weird. I think Corbett actually put a list in the community chat of all the previous managers and all the misgivings around them. This guy is just another one to add to this list. He'll be instantly forgotten when he inevitably gets the boot. In probably what I think will be a few months' time. It's just I'm really, really struggling to get excited about it. I'm really, really struggling to see the positivity that some people are surrounding this guy with. Yeah, okay, fine. Call me the voice of doom and gloom, but I've been a Hearts fan for 43 years. It is nothing but doom and gloom, usually, and this provides me no light at the end of the tunnel. That's the short answer.
Yeah, I get where a lot of people, yourself included, are coming from. But we are effectively, as you rightly say, we're making an assumption based on what is not yet real fact of actually seeing any of his teams play football. You know,
Yeah, true.
We start the game on Saturday, and after 30 minutes, we're 2-0, 3-0 up. Then all of a sudden, people's opinions and thoughts and everything else changes. You know, that's just the way football is. It's very, very fickle. We as fans are very fickle. We may be regarded as the most fickle fans out there, but you can also understand it that if within the first 10 minutes St Mirren go 1-0 up, holy shit, the place will be an absolute cauldron of hate and seethe.
And I think he wouldn't be the reason for that, most likely, because he's only been in the job less than a week at that stage. Like we're not completely unreasonable. Well, yeah, we are completely unreasonable. Sorry, but the fan base aren't that unreasonable to think that you can't be calling for the guy sacking after less than a week. You know what I mean? That's ridiculous. I think I always do this on this pod, and I have done for the years that we've been doing this now, which is treat everyone with disdain until they prove themselves. And if I've done it with Liam Boyce, I've done it with, I remember saying Shanklin was shite when he first turned up. Obviously it proved me wrong. That's probably the reverse psychology element coming into it here as well, which is, you know what, I don't bear the guy any malice. I'm not excited about him. And I've not seen anything that gets the juices flowing, if that makes sense. If, however, he turns around, puts a team out, absolutely puts the blowtorches to the soles of their feet, and they run out 5-0 winners, and then we absolutely spank Hibs, and we go on a 10, 12, 13, 14 game unbeaten streak. You know what? I'll get Critchley's name tattooed on my arse. It's absolutely fine. And I'll stand.
Could
I
just,
that?
Can I just confirm the terms of that again, please?
No, it's all just chat. But I will stand here and say, yeah, you know what, I was wrong, and but I will always stand by my feelings at the time. As you asked me here in this moment, am I excited? Am I enthused? Am I hopeful for the future? No, I'm not going to sit and lie to you. Will I get behind them? Obviously, I will, because I'm a Hearts fan. That's what we do, right? So I'll turn up on Saturday. I'll give the team a clap, all the usual stuff, right? Absolutely get on board, but I'm absolutely not excited by this in any way, shape, or form.
I think that's also a really good comment, is the fact that he's not the marquee, he's not the one we want, you know, or we wanted or expected from all the various analytics that came out. I don't think he was the name we expected, but on the other hand, I don't know what name we expected to actually get, given the fact of the way and the structure of the club at this moment in time. And sorry, Ando.
I do think, just agreeing with you.
Yeah, I do think when you look at the last 4, 5, 6 managers that we've had since Budges came in, they've never really achieved anything. They've never done anything. We haven't won the Scottish Cup in 12 years. You know, we've done absolutely hee-haw. I personally think that if this fails, not that I want it to fail, but if this fails, it could be a godsend, because this particular detail has to fall on the people who run the club. And that's what I was saying earlier on. We need effectively to have two different boards as such. You know, a board that actually deal with the football element and the stuff that goes on in the park, and an actual board that go hand in hand with that actually run the business side of things. Because we don't want to be in that position and see the next person that calls out, but we should be happy where we are, given the fact that 15 years ago, 12 years ago, whatever it was, we nearly didn't have a club.
Next person that says that needs strangled.
Exactly.
That's old hat. It's
correct.
Boring.
We've moved on from that. We are in the best financial position we could ever be. The chances of that ever happening again are minuscule. Right. Put that to bed. It's gone. We've dealt with it. What we now need to do is we now need to push on. We don't. We all talk about the fact that we regard ourselves as the third biggest club in this country.
Yep.
Start acting like it. Start acting like it. Stop going into, oh, we got to a semi-final, we got to a trip to Hampden. That's shit. I want to win games at Hampden.
Yeah,
I want to win
Kev.
trophies.
that should be the
And we
big
all-
one, to be honest.
This is what we've got to do. And this goes back to what you said earlier on, Ando. This is where we've got to then start to instill that in your manager.
Or even appoint a manager that meets that brief. Act
Yeah.
like a big club.
Well, again, then that requires the person who has the old pen on the checkbook to actually turn around and say, yes, I will pay you £500,000.
Who gets
Or
the casting
actually,
vote.
what I'll do is I'll pay you £400,000, but you get us to winning a trophy. I'll give you £100,000 out my back pocket. We have to start setting proper objectives. Like you and I and Tam and Corbett and every other person that we all have objectives in our own working lives. You know, it's the way of the working man, woman, child. Feel that's
You don't
got to be
put
included.
children to work, Kev. It's like we're no in 18th century coal mine in Middle
Well,
England.
back in his day, though, and
Mate, in my day, in my day,
Please, sir,
it's
can I have
exactly
some more?
Mate, hey, I started working at 13. Didn't do me any harm because it gave me money in my pocket to go be able to go watch football and things like that. Kids nowadays just want a handout. Get them out working.
right, I feel we're moving on from the point.
This isn't the British National Party podcast. Never mind.
But we need to start setting clear objectives in regards to it. But we also then need to have some form of actual praise and actual reward at the end of it. You know, that's
Agree to that.
it's or all we're going to do is we're going to continue to have this podcast and moan at the fact that we're not doing what we as fans expect us to actually do. That's the way I look at it.
I think it'll be a bit a real interesting, obviously, from Saturday. I think we've got till the Rangers game on the 10th of November. I think we play midweek Sunday, Saturday,
yeah.
every.
Yeah, I've got the fixture list here. You've got so Saturday against St Mirren, and then Thursday against Nicosia, and then Sunday away to Hibs, and then Wednesday midweek
Sunday.
we got Kilmarnock,
Killie.
and then away to St Johnstone on the weekend after that, and then forgive me if I'm getting it wrong, Heidenheim, however you say it, the next midweek, and then we're away to Rangers, and then we have 6 days of a gap. Until we play Celtic at home on the 23rd of November. So between now and the end of November, we're basically playing weekend, midweek, blah, blah, blah.
So probably
after the Celtic game, we're straight back into, sorry Tam, we're into another midweek game after the Celtic game. So we get 1 week.
Yep.
Yeah, 1 week between the 10th. Oh, in fact, no, that's an extended. It must be. Is that an international break?
It's an international break.
Apologies.
So tell them we're going in one
dates.
international break to the other, a month essentially, and
playing
7 games
twice a week.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
It's going to be a busy old schedule.
Yeah.
Let's even just cover that time period. Obviously, I think the next 3 games are massive for me in terms of who we play.
Mm-hmm.
What it means. We've got Derby in there, 2 home games and a European night, including a European night under the lights as well. What does Critchley have to do? Is it just a case at this stage, off to a winning start, improve performances? We've obviously seen a slight improvement under Fox. Do you reckon that can continue, and then, or is it just ultimately, do we need to get the results?
My opinion over those 7 games, I think you've got to win at least 3. Well, you've got to win at least 3 of those games over the 7. Appreciate that some of them are the European games,
mm-hmm.
but I still set out again. Go back to objectives. You must win 3 of those 7 games,
and you must not get beat in the Derby.
Must not get beat in the Derby.
Here we go. Someone count this out. Right, this is my expectation. St Mirren on Saturday, must win. Ammonia, they're absolute dog meat on the European stage, probably a lot better.
I'm not sure about that.
I think comparatively, we I think on paper should be able to beat them. That's a must win as well. Hibs, no question, you must win that. Don't care if it's at Easter Road, but they're absolutely dreadful. Kilmarnock at home, must win that. So that's 4 out of 4. And then away to St Johnstone, 5. That if he doesn't win the next 5 games on the bounce, then I'll be raging, because at home to the German mob, they are
they're going to batter us,
the German mob. They're going to be good, right?
Yep.
And then you've got Rangers and Celtic, and we know how much Hearts struggle against Rangers and Celtic. That's incontrovertible fact. But out of those 8 games, the first 5 of them, he must win all of them for me. Anything less than that is a disappointment.
I'm just looking at how the actual fixtures go. I actually think those first 5 games he cannot get beat in any one of them.
Well, I've just said exactly that.
I think you would probably say I'll take a draw against Ammonia. They seem to be a not bad side. I would say you take a draw in that game, but the rest of them you've got to win. So the league games are all wins. That's your expectation levels, mate.
That's what I would go with as well, to be honest. I would say the league games are the one. The European game takes care of itself in a sense. The priority is not the European game at this.
I'm not flexible in the European game. That's a must win.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think it's interesting we say that, right? So we've all said of those particular games, let's look at it after St Mirren and see where we are.
Yep.
I think that'd be interesting to see where we
once we have an idea of what we've seen. No, I agree with that, Kev. We'll regroup on our next podcast and see where we stand. But
cool.
Anything to add, boys? I don't know if we've got.
I don't want to drag this one on any longer than it needs to be, because it's late. It's Wednesday.
We planned for 20 minutes to half an hour, and we've probably
we're all fed up of our lives.
So, yeah.
But let's imagine the inevitable happens. Kev, you just pointed out there. Supposing he doesn't win against St Mirren on Saturday. Now, and you know what? That's probably the one where he has. It's a catch-22. Yeah, it's a catch-22 in this one, because he could be forgiven for not winning that because he's been in the job less than a week, right? It's fine. If he's got a dramatically different style of football that he's wanting to play, whatever, right? But so assuming that happens and we don't get, a positive result on Saturday, how long do you give him after that before it becomes like a serious situation? The remaining 4 still are, for me, must win. But I can imagine Tynecastle, if we don't get a result against Ammonia, hope I'm saying that right, then on the 24th of October, that's going to be awful. People have been out bevying all day under the lights at Tynecastle.
It's a 5:45 kickoff, that game as well.
It is, it's the early one. Brilliant spectacle, as it always is. As we know, European games at Tynecastle, but fucking hell, like that. I'm not trying to put him in a box already, but like, this guy has an absolutely thankless task.
I'll give you 3 answers to your question there, Ando.
Go.
So, I'll give you the Hearts fans as a majority. We'll probably give them till.
Are you qualified to speak on behalf of all the Hearts fans?
I said 3 answers. So, right. Hearts fans as a majority will probably be till the Hibs game.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Right. Myself, I would be till the next international break. And then our board would probably be New Year.
2026.
Yeah. All right, that's not even next year, actually.
We'll have to give them 2 transfer windows. So, January and then the summer. So, a year's time before we bounce them.
Including the actual European games, there are 7 matches between now and the next international break.
Yeah.
So that's 21 points available. Firstly, what do you think are the total points over those 7 games? So out of 21, what do you expect to take?
So that's a different thing. What do I think and what I want?
What do you expect currently, and then what do you think? That will be the 2 questions.
It's 15 league points. Well,
Scottish
League.
So what do you
What
want
do you
first? What do I
expect from
expect? Right.
Yep.
Well, I've made that clear. Right. So five wins from the next 8. Right. So five, I can't even do 5 times 3. 15 points.
50.
What I think will actually happen. St Mirren, glorious failure. Ammonia will be a draw. We will get beat away to Hibs. We will draw against Kilmarnock, and we'll draw away at St Johnstone, and the rest of them will be defeats. I think it will be
3.
3 points.
Right. Okay. So 15 is what you expect. 3
Yep.
is what you are. Okay.
Yep. Correct. And I'm
Tam?
quite happy to get that on a t-shirt.
15 to 3.
Yep.
just slightly shit. Just slightly shit. Competition, but hey, bash on.
So beat Hibs, beat Kelly, beat St Johnstone, and as I say, Saturday free hit. We'll see how that goes, and we'll reassess. But 9.
So your 9 is you're expecting 9.
Yeah.
But you would expect, okay.
0 in Europe. It's essentially what I'm saying.
Okay, you're 0 in Europe over those games.
The 2 games, yeah.
Yeah, 2 games.
Cool.
2 games. I think my expectation is probably very similar. I think, again, we go on about, the teams that's the teams round about us. And if we don't win those games, I think this is the other element, right? So Kilmarnock only 2 points ahead of us. St Johnstone 1 point ahead of us. Hibs 2 points ahead of us. I mean, there are many, or maybe 3 points ahead of us, whatever it may be. So these are the games. If you win those games, all of a sudden, you've turned things around. So from that point of view, that could be a big thing. I am, in the same realms as Ando. 15 is where that's your objective, mate. That's where you've got to get. But where do you actually get? I can see 7 or 8. But as I say, we can revisit this on Sunday, Monday,
piece
or
of
whatever.
paper, stayed there, and we'll revisit it. That'll do.
So 15 is your is Ando's expectation, but what he thinks will only be 3 points.
Yep.
Tam, you were also 15, but you think 9. Is that right? You're not giving them any wins and
take away the Ammonia game. I don't. I even with that, so I'll be 12 and 9. 9 and 12.
9 and 12. Okay. So I'm in the same as Ando. 15 is where it should be, but I think 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
fair enough.
Well,
right.
As I say.
Well, this has been uplifting.
Maybe we should have got somebody on that actually knows Neil Critchley or can vouch for him as a guy or something. I don't know, just to try and provide a bit of positivity.
Someone that could breathe positive vibes into this conversation.
I've tried my hardest all night here, but it's been very difficult.
Corbett is unavailable. He's busy decimating the Caribbean just now, and we all know he's raging about it as well. So
telling everyone on the cruise ship about Neil Critchley and how it's a disgrace.
he's that raging he's actually turned to alcohol. I see a picture of him drinking alcohol. What the hell was going on?
I know, that's a scandal.
That's what Hearts does to you, isn't it? But
just in case anyone's listening from any of the red tops, Corbett's been on the bevy. He's raging about the whole situation. Thanks, McKinley. Thanks, Budge. Well done, Hearts.
Anyway, on that note, cheers, boys. We'll speak again soon.
See you later.
Gargoyle.